Hi guys, it is day 18 of Savor at Home and we're going to be trying a bourbon today. I actually picked this bottle up today from Old Lightning. They're selling out their stock, which is really convenient. So what we're trying today is Weller Antique 107. It is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey and it's sitting at 107 proof, so that's 53.5% ABV. Now this is a single barrel made or picked out entirely for Old Lightning, which is a speakeasy in Venice Beach, California. So this, as I said, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey means it is made entirely in Kentucky at one distillery. Of at least 51% corn in the mash and aged for at least 2 years in new charred oak barrels. So it's made at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Now on here, it does say the original wheated bourbon. W.L. Weller is known for being the first person to actually allegedly wheat their bourbons, which means that they're using wheat in the mash along with corn and probably malted barley as well. Instead of typically you'll find rye in the mash. This mash bill is not disclosed, but it has to be at least 51% corn in order to be called bourbon, so we know that. It's like Maker's Mark, which is also a wheated bourbon, and Larceny, and it's thought to be the same mash bill as the old Rip Van Winkle lineup. So if you've ever heard of any of the Pappies, this is said to be made from the same mash bill, which is cool. Some people joke that if you mix together a few different Wellers, you can get the poor man's Pappy. Yeah, so the distillery where they were making Weller, so the Weller Distillery, I believe it was called back then during Prohibition, was still operating through Prohibition under a medicinal license, which is kind of cool. Now on this bottle, there's no age statement, but as we know, in order for it to be a straight bourbon whiskey, it must be aged for at least 2 years. But there's no age statement, which means it has to be matured for at least 4 years. It's said to be about 6 to 8 years old. And the price of this should be between $30 and $50. You should be able to get this pretty cheap. However, the demand for it has gone up a lot, and I picked this one up today for $70, and it's not uncommon to find this bottle for $200+, which is crazy for something that should be $30 to $50. But anyways, let's go ahead, let's check it out. I think I've said all the things I wanted to say about this. But yeah, so go ahead, take a look at the rich golden color in there. It's got a good orange color to it. In the nose, there's a lot of sweet caramel notes to it. Some maple as well as we're starting to open up. There's like a weird jasmine thing in here, but with a like savory kick to it. Some nuts, some chocolatiness. Yeah, it smells pretty good. The flavors are nice. There's a lot of caramel and vanilla, which you'd expect from a bourbon. It finishes with a lot of like roasty chocolatiness. I'm picking up a lot of cinnamon. Overall, a good flavor profile. It's got a little bit more heat than I would want. So I was leaving it on my tongue for a lot longer. It's at 53.5%, so not super duper high, but it does have some of that lingering heat throughout. A decent mouthfeel. It's a little bit thin when it's in your mouth, but coats nicely after you've swallowed the sip. Yeah, overall, pretty good. Yeah, pretty enjoyable. If you have a chance to pick one up, it's not a bad thing to have in your collection at all, especially since Old Lightning is selling their inventory, which is very cool. Yeah, nice and delicious. Thanks, guys.